am coming for your peg, you motherfucker!
In today's episode, we're going to start it off the way we did last time, and then afterwards we're going to get into some new debates here using the free phrasing program. Basically, we come over here and we see a simple post, Simple post says we're hiring, $10 an hour, no benefits, nobody wants to work. This is what's actually going on today. I said, just to add to it, you know what I mean? Let's raise minimum wage to $15 an hour so employers cut hours and save costs and ultimately decide to automate, which, it's hard to argue. And honestly, you don't know what you don't know. Like, let's say, for instance, that I had no idea that grocery stores had been automating their cashiers, such as like when you go to the self-cash out, the self-checkout. And if you don't think that this is the first phase of ultimately phasing cashiers out entirely, then you're mistaken. All right, so let's just get into this anyways. Let's just get into this, okay? There shouldn't be employers then. So I said, seems inevitable. She says, sadly, that is the way things are going these days. I just consider myself lucky to be in a position that pays well. So then, there we go. We get into it. My good friend, Zach Sachs. He's not a friend of mine at all. Let's take a look at this guy. Let's go and take a look at this guy. Let's see what he's about. All right. Wow, look at this guy. Wow. Yeah, you know what? This looks like the type of guy that you should take. Definitely. Oh, my God. Definitely take advice from this dude. Definitely take financial advice from this guy. Why wouldn't you? This guy knows what he's talking about. Absolutely. Just by the looks of him, I know he knows what he's talking about. All right. Let's go back here. Let's see what he said. Let's see. He said, I always hear conservatives talk about this happening, but they never have any real situations where it actually did. All right, so he started off with saying, I always hear conservatives talk about this. So basically, he's been triggered to enter into the conversation because this is mainly a conservative talking point. So that's why he entered into the conversation. And his word, like in his perspective, is that when conservatives say these types of things, they never present any real evidence to back it up. You know what I mean? So meanwhile, Massachusetts, California, Illinois have all booming industries and $15 an hour minimum wage. All right, so I said, this isn't entirely accurate. To stop having to pay benefits under Obamacare, companies like Burger King have reduced their hours to no more than 29 a week. We might easily say that this is a foreshadowing of what is to come. All right, let's break it down. Let's break down everything that's going on here because it has to be done. It has to be done, honestly, because the stupidity of people today, it needs to come to an end. You need to stop considering your feelings and putting them over logic. Okay? What they're not considering is that they don't know what they don't know, and apparently what he does not know is that the cost of living is different in different parts of the country in America. All right? Massachusetts, California, Illinois have different economies than places like, say, Mississippi or Louisiana. So let's just take that into consideration. You know what I mean? And also, another thing is that he starts off his comment by saying, I always hear conservatives talking about this. So basically, his whole goal here is to silence conservatives. That's what this is all about. That's what this is all about. This isn't about fucking trying to teach anybody anything or learn anything. This is about arguing for him, which is fine because this is what I do too. You know? Anyways, so let's see. He says, "Show me the source." Show me the source. All right. So I say, because this is my experience, I am the source. However, I went out of my way to find a source to support my claim. All right, so basically I told him, all right, this is my personal experience. This is what I have experienced. You know what I mean? And I'm not the only one who experienced this. Everybody I worked with when I worked at Burger King all know this. So we all know that Burger King will give you no more than 29 hours a week, and most likely they won't even give you that much. But they will not give you any more than 29 hours a week because they do not want to pay benefits under Obamacare. All right? This is the truth. These are facts. This is a fact, bro. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? Just to satisfy Zach Sachs, I went out of my way and I found this source right here. You know what I mean? Because this is all these people listen to these days, is news articles. If it's not coming from a news article, then it's not facts. If it came from a textbook and it didn't come from a news article, it's not facts. All right? So this is what these lunatics believe these days. Lunatics. All right? So let's see. To avoid Obamacare, some fast food restaurants cut staff hours. Did it work? It did work, honestly. It fucking worked. And regardless of what it says here, it will definitely validate what I'm saying, because what I'm saying is fucking true. You know what I mean? So let's see what he says. Yes, KQED.org, the famous, very real, and well-established journalist news source. And then he laughs. Now, let's sit there, let's ask ourselves why he did this. All right? Once again, guys, we're talking to people who feel powerless. They feel defeated because they can't argue with me, the king. They can't debate the king. All right. I'm sorry. I just become a lunatic there for a minute. I don't think I need to explain what's going on here because everything I just said pretty much just fucking gives it all away. So this other guy comes in and he says, if they could cut hours, they already would. If they could automate, they already would. Cheap labor has not stopped either of these things. What the fuck are you even talking about, bro? What are you talking? Cheap labor has not stopped either of these things. No shit. 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 Because once again, these corporations, these companies don't give a fuck about you. And to think that they do, you are sadly mistaken, my friend. They just don't. You know, and it's sickening, honestly. This is sickening. It's sickening the way people think. All right, let's break it down. What he said, if they could cut hours, they already would. Well, guess what? They already did. Okay? If they could automate, they already would. Well, guess what? They already did. And cheap labor has not stopped either of these things. You're right, because they don't give a fuck about you. And if you were to raise minimum wage, guess what? That's just more of an incentive to cut your hours, to save costs, and eventually automate. Maybe not all companies. Maybe not every single company is going to automate it. You know what I mean? You know, but it is fucking inevitable that is what's going to happen either way. Either way, that's what's going to happen. So I just want to drive that point home for everybody watching that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. All right, so in response to David, Zach says, one thing I learned from being in advertising, dealing with large companies, if a company can do it with 3 people, they will never hire a 4th. So basically, you're just backing up what I'm saying, pretty much. Backing up what I'm saying, but I don't think that's the point of this post. I think the point of this post is to try to make everybody here feel inferior because he is proud of working in advertising, and he's trying to tell everybody that he's superior. But he fails to do that, and not only does he fail to do that, but he also succeeds in driving my point home. All right, let's go on. I said, I hear you, man. I don't believe any media outlet is more trustworthy than personal experience. Well, come on, bro. That's fucking real. That's real, bro. That's real. And then he goes, Zach says, dude, your article is from Northern California. It's from a Northern California podcast and blog site from 2016. Get some real journalism pieces and I'll hear you out. Because he says this because, one, he has no argument. You know what I mean? He can't argue with what I'm saying because he doesn't know what he doesn't know. And he doesn't know anything about what he's talking about. But he decided to come and enter into this conversation. He doesn't realize that I did research on this. He doesn't know anything about what he's talking about once again. Sorry, I just have to keep going with that. You know? And the only thing these people care about is articles and fucking journalism and journalism. They don't realize that these journalists, like the journalists that they like, the news media sources that they listen to, it's all predicated in biased beliefs. So, you know what I mean? Like it's all opinions. It's opinions. They don't realize, they just don't fucking realize that the media is only there to control you. Alright. Or else they wouldn't be reporting on only negative things. That's just what it is. You gotta stop watching the news, because if you watch the news the way these people do, this is what you end up becoming. This is what you end up becoming. Alright, anyways. Let's continue. So I said to David up here, I said, what makes you think that wouldn't happen in our crony capitalist society? It's pretty straightforward there. And then Zach comes in and he says, this is what really fucking makes me fucking go crazy. This is what makes me laugh so hard. Like that you actually have a small enough mind, like such a narrow perspective of like the bigger picture. You just don't see it. Oh my god. Let's just read it, okay? And no, your personal experience doesn't matter in a debate forum. There you have it, boys and girls. That's it, man. My whole argument is thrown out the window. I don't have the right to speak here. I don't have the right to speak here. This is what I can tell. This guy is a fucking Democrat. He's on the left, you know, and he's totally brainwashed by the left. He's totally on the left. Personal experience doesn't matter in a debate forum. You're wrong. I want to skip this part, and I want to explore what I said in response to that. Let's see what I said. And this is crazy what I said here. And this is what makes me the king, you know? All right. Where a debate forum is intangible, personal experience is the essence of your reality. This is undeniable. Whether or not you respect my experience is immaterial in the end. I respect you. I mean, to a certain extent, I respect you. But I don't think it's wise to suspend reason in order to silence a conservative talking point in order to feel like you want to debate. Because this is exactly, I'm just calling him out. And notice, after this, he doesn't respond back again. Maybe you engage in debates to argue, not to broaden your horizon, but to narrow them and hammer them in. I guess we'll just have to agree to disagree on almost everything you have stated. And look, he didn't respond. He didn't respond. Why didn't he respond? Why? Because. How? How can you? How can you respond to utter truth? I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, but the truth is fucking belligerent. And so am I. All right. All right, we'll go back up here. We'll see what he says here. I'm saying automation, cutting hours, outsourcing production, etc. All these things bosses do all the time. Keeping labor cheap or dropping price of labor does not stop these things. Conversely, for the most part, increasing the cost of labor does not make them happen. The casual relationship that folks like to believe is there when arguing against minimum wage just isn't there. All right, so what you're not understanding, what David's not understanding here when he says this, is that, let me see here what he says. All right, so his whole thing is he must believe that conservatives are wanting to keep you poor. That's what they want. They want to keep you poor. They want to keep you enslaved. They want to shut you down. They want to make sure that you don't. But really, what's happening here is it's just the opposite. It's a liberal leftist. It's a leftist trying to silence a conservative talking point. They believe I'm a conservative, which, you know what? I'm a libertarian, but I definitely have more in common with conservatives than I do with these fucking lunatics. Well, that's just the truth about it, man. And I'm only here to fucking tell it like it is. I'm just gonna tell it like it is. I don't care what you say. I'm telling it like it is. So we come down here, and he says, the automation argument is flawed for a big reason. Talking about mine. I didn't even really say much about automation. I just said it's an inevitability that it will happen. He said, functions better when wealth is moving rather than stagnating, hoarding in vaults, which as I explained earlier, that's not really a thing. Increasing the minimum wage has been a net plus for the economy every time. All right, so how many times? How many times? And how much? You know? And where? You know? But let's see what he says here. Does this create losers? Yes. Mostly out of small businesses whose model relied on illegal cost cutting and low quality output that they overcharge for. In other words, bad business. All right, so the whole argument for this is in my response here. So let's see what I said. And it's a big one. I said it right here. All right, let's see. Keith. Andrew Yang appeared to disagree, and the Democratic Party effectively silenced him and stole his ideas. Now, what am I talking about here? When Andrew Yang was running for president, he ran on the idea that eventually these corporations were going to automate and people were going to lose jobs, and it's already happening, and it is. It is already happening. Had grocery stores not put all those self-checkouts in, what would they be doing? Because you walk into any grocery store, and how many fucking employees do you see doing the cashier work? Not very many. So this is already fucking happening. All right? And he ran on the idea that we need a freedom dividend of $1,200 a month, basically universal basic income. Which I think he was right. People need a cushion to fall back on because jobs are disappearing due to fucking everything that is happening. What you don't see is that you'd rather lose the right to start a business on a technicality because you can't compete with big corporations because of artificial minimum wage increases. And you basically justify it by lumping all small businesses into one group and claiming they're cutting corners illegally. Now, is that not what he said? Is that not what he said? This is a perfect response to everything he said. All right? When, in fact, it is the large corporations that are doing so because they're automating. You know what I mean? Fucking look at Walmart, Stop and Shop. These fucking places are, even Cumberland Farms in Rhode Island, Cumberland Farms, gas stations are automating the cashiers, the checkouts. You know what I mean? You go into a gas station these days and there's like one person there. You know, it's crazy. All right, so, and you basically justify it by lumping all small businesses into one group and claiming they're all cutting corners illegally, when in fact it's the large corporations that are doing so. Increasing minimum wage has been a net positive for the economy, but it has come at the expense of the losers. Let's go up here. Let's see what he said here. He said, does this create losers? Yes. What is he talking about? He's talking about the people who are outed because of this. You know, he's talking about the cost of it. All right, the people who are going to be stuck in poverty because of this. You know, because employers are not going to hire everybody and pay them $15 an hour. It's just not going to happen. You know, it's just not. It's really not. and this whole thing just says that to me that the whole fucking system is broken. It's just broken. You know, maybe it's time to switch to a resource-based economy. You know, maybe it's time to switch to a type of economy where it's like, what do you contribute to society? And then that decides your comfortability status. You know, maybe that's what we need to do, because this shit's not going to work. It's not going to work, but guess what? They don't want it to work. They don't. They want you to be poor. They want you to live in poverty. And that's the Democrats. That's not necessarily the conservatives. That's what the Democrats want, because this is what they're pushing for. All right, let me continue here. All right, but it has come at the expense of the losers, who are primarily minorities with a growing victim mentality. Now, this all goes together. Like, this is a big picture that I am drawing a picture, a big picture here, but people fail to see the big picture. They only want to, you know. All right, so I said yes, but at what price? Companies are already automating. Nothing will remain the same. Do you think there will be no stores without cashiers in 15 years? You believe truck drivers will not be replaced by machines? Ultimately, buying a machine is less expensive, and it is not illegal. So, I just destroyed his whole argument here. I destroyed it. I destroyed his whole argument right here. The whole thing's done. Done. There's nothing he can say. There's nothing he can say. Not a thing. And guess what? He didn't say anything. He didn't say anything. He said, Chris Simonin, sorry, but I will never agree with your viewpoint. Well, I'm sorry, buddy, but this is not my viewpoint. These are the facts. This is how it is, my friend. This is how it really is. Fuck your feelings. This is how it is. All right. I don't want to parse your last post. All right, so basically he's saying he doesn't want to. He read what I wrote, but he's saying, I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to read it, because he's basically just downplaying my intelligence. He's down because honestly, this is a well-written post right here. Let's be real. How are you going to? He can't. He's intimidated. Intimidated by it. All right, he said, I don't want to parse your last post. If you want to stick to a more narrow range, we can have a discussion. Did I not just say this? Did I not just say that I painted a big picture? He wants to focus. So I had the whole picture here, right? There's a mountain, there's the water, there's the trees, there's the little river that goes in the island. He wants to focus on the small ant. He wants to focus on the ant that's on the rock. And he says, when you can focus on this ant that's sitting on the rock, I will grant you the right to have a discussion with me. Bro, you ain't nobody. You ain't nobody to me. I don't give a fuck, bro. I'm just being honest with you, bro. But there is some serious bread running here, and I don't feel up to taking the bait. Okay, so here's what I said. No apology is necessary, and there is no There is no bait. No judgment is being rendered. This is pretty. I'm trying to be polite to this guy. I'm trying to not hurt his feelings because I completely demolished him. So now I want to build him up a little bit. You know, I don't want to break people down and leave them that way. I want them to learn something by what I'm saying. All right, no judgment is being rendered, but I will not refrain from pointing out that this is your answer due to a lack of argument in response to what I said previously. So basically, I'm saying, I gotcha. I win. You lose. I gotcha. You got nothing to say. You got nothing to say. You're resorting to fucking democratic tactics where you ignore the point. It's like this, right? So, say you're talking to a Democrat, right, about something. You ask them a question, right? You ask them a simple question. Like, all right, so there's this debate that's on the internet somewhere. It's floating around. It's this talk show host having a debate with this woman, and he says to her, what does he say? Something about being a father. He said, okay. All right, so here's what was going on. There was a talk show host debating this woman, and the woman was claiming that her child calls her mom and dad, or looks at her like the mom and the father. You know what I mean? And her whole argument is that basically to get rid of the father. That's the whole argument. Get rid of the dad because it's all mothers. You know what I mean? A dad can be a mother. And he said, does your child call you daddy? And she said, that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. So basically when you hit these people with information that they can't respond to, they say it's irrelevant. But if I ask you a question and the question is really irrelevant, you really truly believe the question is relevant, why not just simply answer the question? Why? Okay. Look, there's a response here from Daniel Williams. It says, Daniel Williams says, with all due respect, Chris, they'll do that anyway. Don't fall for that bullshit. This is my whole point. This is the whole point that I'm trying to make. That is my whole point. I'm just gonna say, that is my point. That is my point, my friend. Yeah, there we go. That is my point. That is my point. That is my point. So yeah, that's that, guys. That's that. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Oh, because I don't feel like going and doing this anymore. Oh, got other things I gotta do.